Welcome to Power Hour, where the editors of Power Sports Business interview the movers and shakers of the industry. This episode is brought to you by Synchrony.
Hey, it's Madeline with Power Sports Business Magazine, and welcome back to another episode of Power Hour. Today we have Nate Stickney with us. How are you, Nate?
Doing awesome. How are you?
I'm good. Thanks for joining us today.
Awesome. Happy to be here.
Yeah. So Nate owns 3 locations around the Orlando, Florida area. And Nate, I thought we could just hop in when you bought your first dealership, if you could tell us how old you were and just kind of how that process went.
Oh God, how old I am. That's going to age me now, but yeah, it was 2014. I had the great opportunity to buy my first store with my mentor and business partner, Rock Northey.
Okay.
I'm sure a lot of the people listening to this call will know that name, but yeah, so we did that first store in 2014 and just kind of grew it from there.
Awesome. Okay, and then so you basically converged 2 locations under one roof. Is that right? When you bought Sky Power Sports?
Yeah. Well, we bought Sky Powers. Well, we bought a store out, and it was a Polaris Suzuki store, and
Mhm.
it was kind of a fire sale. We scooped in there and bought it, and eventually started adding additional brands and kind of growing the business at that location. And then eventually we got to the point where we were ready to invest and kind of take it to a new facility, build a new store, and take it to the next level. We really wanted to build a premium store. We felt there was a great opportunity in this marketplace, a great development going on, a lot of growth in the area. So we were like, let's build a nice store and invest in the market and take the brands from that particular location and relocate over and hit the ground running.
So we've talked about, so you're in Sanford, which is about 30 minutes outside of Orlando, is that right?
Yes. Yep.
Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
And is that a good area is that a good market right now?
Yeah. The Sanford area is on fire. There's huge growth. Like I said, development in the area. It's kind of the new, I don't know, hip town in outside of
Mhm.
Orlando. There's just a lot of building going on, a lot of cool restaurants, cool downtown community. So yeah, it's kind of just on the outskirts of the Orlando area, maybe like a 20-25 minute ride. So it's
Yeah.
a really cool place.
So speaking of Orlando, you just acquired Ryder Market. Was that last May?
Yeah, I closed on that store May 1st. It was actually an acquisition. I bought, it was Indian Motorcycle Orlando. I bought it from the iMotorsports Group, and then I rebranded it as Ryder Market. That's kind of my concept dealership that I've been kind of envisioning and putting together over the last few years, kind of those ideas into place, and it just kind of all fell into perfect order, and I was able to fulfill my vision and kind of kick this new dealership off, and I'm really excited. So we're kind of right in the beginning stages of building everything out.
I love to hear that. That's exciting. So I'm sure you kind of space your time between, well, you actually have 3 locations. His third one is near Daytona Beach. It's Deland Motorsports. But
Yes.
so because you have these 3 locations, what do you look for in management, so that they can kind of maintain the culture that you like to see within your dealerships while you're gone?
Yeah, I mean, talent is super important. When you acquire a new store, you kind of got to work with what you got in the beginning, and then determine where that talent lies. Whether it's with existing employees or you got to bring in your new team. So I just kind of work with what I got and try to find that talent and integrate my processes and procedures that I've developed over years of
Yeah.
working with Sky Power Sports, and see who can adapt and fit in and drive the business. So you really are kind of just feeling it out, kind of working with people in the beginning and seeing who's got that natural ability, and at the same
Mhm.
time who also is willing to be open-minded and learn new processes and be forward thinking. So that's kind of my whole plan.
Yeah, and we've talked about this before. A lot of dealers have issues with staffing, but you said you're kind of the exception in your area. You said it's a bit of a melting pot. So, can you tell me how you attract talent?
Yeah, so we have a new dealership that we built here in Sanford a few years back. So it's a nice premium store, and we've been able to really kind of draw in talent because of the freshness and newness of it. It's a modern store, new equipment, premium brand. So that's just naturally going to attract talent.
Hmm.
But, in some of the, older stores, or like the store I just acquired in Orlando, that's, it's a little run down, not in the best side of town, but you got to be willing to invest into these facilities and try to, just clean them up and get more organized.
Hmm.
And, as you become more organized and you show the team there that you're willing to invest, and it's just you're naturally going to kind of draw talent to you. They'll start to
Yeah.
come to you. They're going to want to work for you. The competing competitors in town, those guys, all these guys talk to one another. And, next thing you know, people just come knocking on your door. They want to be a part of something that's new and fresh, and there's some
Hmm.
enthusiasm in the air, and they want to be a part of that success.
Yeah, absolutely. So we talked about staff. Well, then also for your customers, I think a lot of dealers want to create that environment where customers want to come in on the weekends and hang out with their friends. Maybe you offer coffee. What do you do within your dealerships to bring in those riders and kind of create a place that's more of a hangout than even a place to buy something every time you walk in?
Yeah, so that's kind of my whole philosophy that around the rider market thing. It's just, you got to build a community around your dealership. So that requires you to be highly engaged in the community, in the local riding groups, and doing events.
Yeah.
And you got to kind of create a vibe within the store that, attracts customers. They want to come visit you. They're not just coming here to, because they know it's going to cost them money, or they got to buy stuff. You want to just create an environment where they're welcomed and they can
Hmm.
come in and they can hang out, and they'll want to do, whether it's meeting up for a ride or taking part in some type of charitable event, anything you can do to just really kind of create that community around the dealership. And that
Yeah.
creates energy. People want to come in. Motion creates emotion. So when folks are here and they're visiting us and there's a good buzz in the air and there's good positive energy, there's a very high likability that they're going to let their guard down a little bit and probably spend some money with us, whether it's trading
Yeah.
in their current bike or getting their bike serviced or buying a new helmet, whatever it may be. So you just want to really kind of create the electricity within your dealership. And, that creating the community is probably number one thing you can do.
Yeah, I'm sure that affects your employees too, that just creates excitement. I mean, they get to know the customers and they're involved in those events and they feel the energy too. So it's kind of a win-win, it seems like.
Totally, absolutely is.
Yeah. Okay, so I definitely service department. You've told me a bit about what you've done here and there, and it seems like you guys have pretty great operations in that department. So you renovated the service shop in 2022, is that right?
Yes,
So can you
yes.
tell me what impact this had on your technicians and their performance?
Yeah, so it was already a new building. So it's funny when people ask, you renovated your service shop, but it was already a new building.
You
But,
just got it.
yeah, yeah. So at the same time, you constantly have to be evolving, things change. Business obviously grew for us. It picked up. So we had to find ways to become more, have our shop flow,
Mhm.
be more, I guess, what's the
Streamline.
yeah, kind of to streamline, more of a flow. And so you got to collect feedback from your team, so you got to ask your technicians what would make you more productive, what would make you more efficient in your job. What would the ideal layout look like for you, and you got to get
Mhm.
feedback from them. And then, once you get that feedback, obviously having them involved in that process gets more buy-in, and they
Mhm.
appreciate that. And at the end of the day, you're going to get a much better product in the end too, because you're collecting feedback from these guys that actually are boots on the ground. They're in there working day to day within that shop. So just putting some focus on that, getting feedback from them, and trying to make your shops more efficient. And it could be just repainting some walls, cleaning up the flooring, getting some new lifts, new tire machine, whatever it may be. You'd be surprised. I had my technicians made some comments to me a few months ago that the lighting wasn't the best back there. So, we had to look at how can we reinvest in our shop and get better lighting set up for these guys so they can be more efficient, and be able to see better when they're working on these bikes.
Yeah, there's so many little things that you don't think about, but it's great that you have that open communication with them so they can, share their needs.
Yeah, a lot of these
Um,
dealerships that, the smaller stores that have been around a while, mom and pops, they kind of forget about the shop back there, and it's kind of out of sight, out of mind. And
Mhm.
they really, it helps to get back there and kind of take a walk around and kind of do an audit, of the space,
Mhm.
and what it looks like, and you know collect feedback from your team, and maybe even bring in some outsiders. My 20 club's been, a great resource for me, when those guys come in and
Mhm.
visit me. And I'm always looking at areas of opportunity, and collecting feedback from everyone. What could we be doing a little bit differently to make, enhance things.
Yeah. So kind of looking, it's December, or it's almost December, and looking at the end of the year, and we're about to move into 25. What's your outlook on 25? I think that's a big question, but you seem to have a good perspective. What are you kind of focusing on moving into the next year?
Yeah, so 2025, I mean, I'm always looking to elevate, what can we do to squeeze more, juice out of the lemon here? So, we're always looking for areas of opportunity, but we are in a little bit of a challenge market. I think we're going to continue to see, some consolidation out there, stores closing. Obviously, a lot of stores are being squeezed by, inventory, over inventoried, floor plan expenses, they're undercapitalized. So we're
Hmm.
seeing some of these dealerships really struggle. And I think we're going to continue to see that. But at the end of the day, that isn't really consumer driven. Sometimes it's self-inflicted, sometimes it's the manufacturers squeezing us a little bit. But I think overall, I mean, business, I think we're going to continue to be optimistic, and we're going to see an opportunity to sell more volume maybe, and focus on selling more through, fixed operations, and e-commerce, and making our parts and accessories departments really thrive. So F&I has been a huge thing for us in this dealership. If we're not going to get all the margins on the front end, if we're going to get squeezed on the margins, let's make sure we have a really thriving F&I department, and we're putting a lot of focus there, and make sure that we are really focusing on our fixed operations. So my outlook for 2025 is, actually, I'm very excited. I think there's going to be some opportunities maybe to get some more stores. Maybe there's going to be some opportunity to, drive some more revenue and make some more profit. So we're
Yeah.
always looking to elevate.
Right. Yeah. And I think it's important to stay optimistic. I think you can be cautiously optimistic, but remain optimistic because you never know, where things will turn. You mentioned the F&I department. Do you have employees that specifically handle this department, or do your salespeople kind of carry that over when they're working with customers?
No, we have an F&I department in each location, and
Okay.
those guys are focused on, making sure that we're following the rules, being compliant, making sure things are done correctly and ethically, but at the same time, driving profitability to the dealership, because, that little box, that 10 by 10 box office, can generate more revenue
Right.
than your entire, you know, 7,000 square foot, service shop.
Hmm.
So it's something you got to take seriously, and it's something you always have to be really focused on the best practices and training, and elevating your processes always, looking at every
Right.
little opportunity you can squeeze a little bit more out of it.
Yeah. Training's got to be big in that department because, I mean, just to make sure your employees are confident and comfortable with what they're selling, is training a pretty big part of that department?
Yeah, I mean it is, and you want to make sure. I mean, that F&I department also helps drive service traffic too. So, if you're selling a priority maintenance program, or tire
Mm-hmm.
and wheel, or service contracts, all that stuff helps drive business into your service department. So it's
Yeah.
really a collaborative effort from what happens in that F&I department and what happens in your service drive. So you always got to be kind of pulling those two departments together to try to get more contracts sold, and drive more business in the door. So
Yeah.
it's really a collaborative effort there.
Mm-hmm. Really excited to ask this question. We're all always learning, and we're all at different phases in life and in business. And so I'm excited to hear your answer to this. What is something that you have learned in the last year or somewhat recently? What is something that you've learned within your business?
That's a great question.
Mm-hmm.
um hmm Probably for me, of most recently, was just, how important it is to be organized, and
Gotcha.
take a look at your business and try to dial things in. I mean, not necessarily to a corporate level, but because we are small businesses, but you'll find that with a lot of these small businesses, small dealerships, they're not very they don't have a good organizational structure in place to make
Mm-hmm.
sure that they got good systems and processes, and they have guardrails in place to make sure the business is successful and they're compliant and following the rules and doing a good job for the customer
Mm-hmm.
out there and doing the good job for the employees too, you know? So I think just getting really focusing on your SOPs and building the infrastructure on the back end to make sure you got some good policies and procedures in place and that everyone knows, you know, what your onboarding looks like. So when a new employee starts with you, they know what they're supposed to be doing. They have a goal, they
Mm-hmm.
have a plan. So we're not just like dropping these guys off at the parts counter and saying, "Hey, welcome to the family.
Mm-hmm.
Good luck."
Yeah.
There's really got to be stronger onboarding, in these dealerships. So I think getting more organized and structured is super important. That's something that, as I've added more rooftops, it's something I've really tried to work to be better at.
Yeah. So are you looking to expand any more in the next couple of years? Or are you sticking with three rooftops for now and kind of polishing those dealerships?
Yeah, I mean, I'm a growth oriented person. If you're not thriving, you're dying. It's just I have to be moving forward, and I'm super excited about this industry and this business. I think there's going to be a lot of opportunity over the next few years as some of these stores out there close or consolidate, however it works out. But I think there's going to be some opportunities to add more rooftops. I want to do it in obviously a responsible manner.
Yeah.
Profitability is super important to me. I don't want to just uh, it's not necessarily a real estate play. I like to have good, strong, thriving businesses.
Hmm.
So I would be very excited to look at new opportunities, additional stores. We'll see.
Okay, so also I know that you're really focused on fixed operations right now. So can you kind of tell me where this came from and why your focus has kind of shifted to this department?
Yeah. So after COVID, there was a lot of unknowns in the market. What things were going to look like because we just kind of came out of this big boom time.
Mm-hmm.
And there was, a lot of concern. Is this going to continue? Is our retail going to continue? My gut told me that it wasn't going to, that, we were going to get definitely squeezed on the margins. I knew the manufacturers were going to start pushing more inventory on us, and we were going to have to go to like potentially a volume model and
Mm-hmm.
just, sell the vehicles, take the low margin, and that was going to affect our profitability. So, like I said earlier, F&I was going to be a big piece of, fixing that, getting a little more margin through the F&I department. But in addition to that, I said, fixed operations, it's so important, and that is an area where we can grow. We're sort of
Mm-hmm.
selling all these bikes. We're selling all these power sports vehicles, and these customers are going to have to come back to us and get service work. So how can we maximize that department so that it adds to our profitability?
Mm-hmm.
So I put a lot of focus on fixed operations. We went in, we looked at, what the labor rates were in the marketplace and what they were nationally. And, we're a premium store. So I said, let's go ahead and let's be the guys that go to the top first. And we raised our labor rates significantly higher. We went and looked at our facilities. How can we elevate our facilities and do a better job, getting more organized and clean things up so we can obviously get more talent and get more quality technicians in here that are going to drive more labor dollars for us. We really looked at, our warranty department. We put a
Yeah.
warranty administrator in place because there's so many recalls out there going on and there's so much missed warranty work opportunities. So I wanted to put a specific person in that role that could really help kind of maximize the warranty opportunities and be able to
Mm-hmm.
facilitate some of these recalls quicker, for customer experience, and at the same time get the vehicles back in here so maybe we can upsell them into something else. So, just putting that warranty minister in place was helpful, and then just best practices in general. Training and working with your service advisors to utilize the tools we have better. Whether it's
Mm-hmm.
through texting platforms and being just more proactive with how they're communicating to customers and giving that experience. So we were really kind of hitting on all cylinders there, and we put a lot of
Mm-hmm.
focus on it. It takes a lot of work. It doesn't just happen organically.
Yeah.
You really got to put work in at it. But it's been a huge success for us at the store. I mean, at one point we were well over 100% absorption. That's dropped off a little bit in Q4, but we're big believers in that absorption percentage.
Mm-hmm. So your technicians, you're kind of making changes and evolving. What is their response to that?
Yeah, I mean, they're super excited.
Okay.
Technicians, they love to stay busy. They want to turn those hours. They're working on flat rate, so the
Yeah.
more customers that are coming in and dropping their vehicles off with us, that's more opportunity for them to turn more labor dollars and put more money in their pockets. They like to stay busy. They don't like when it's slow. So
Mm-hmm.
you have to drive that traffic into them. And we had the traffic. We had all these sales during COVID, and we had
Right.
this giant database of customers that we've established, over the years. And it's like, how are we going after these customers that we already have in our ecosystem? How do we
Yeah.
go in there
Bring them
and,
back.
yeah, bring them back in through, maybe we need to build out some automation. Maybe there's some
Hmm.
AI that comes into play. Maybe it's, just kind of going in and mining that data and trying to
Hmm.
get those customers to come back in and feed these technicians. That's the goal.
So are you guys using AI in any way at this point, or is it something that's kind of up and
Yeah.
coming?
Oh, absolutely. It's kind of, it's something where it keeps every month, the technology keeps getting more and more advanced. So it's like you kind of it's always going to be evolving. But yeah, we're using it in some of our outbound communications and some
Gotcha.
of the things that we're doing through our CRM to
Yeah.
make sure that customers are responded to quickly and efficiently. And it's been definitely a nice little added layer of support. But I think it's
Yeah.
just going to keep growing and growing and growing. It's going to become more, it's definitely going
Advanced.
to way more advanced for sure.
I know. It's crazy to think about where it might be in a year, because even a
Yep.
year ago it was very different. So, okay, let's talk about Ducati because you're big into the Ducati world and you just acquired another Ducati dealership. So, tell me a bit about that.
Yeah, so Ducati's been like my kind of my brainchild. Here we had the awesome opportunity to become the number one Ducati dealership in North and South America for 2023. So in 2024, we were just trying to find ways to elevate that for our customers and do an even better job and sell more bikes and, like I said earlier, build that community, continue to build that community around the store. So I think we've done that, and we did it so well that Ducati came knocking and said, "Hey, man, we want you to have another store." And there was a huge opportunity down in the Metro Orlando market to add another point. And I went ahead and did that in May with my Rider Market concept. And there's a separate store next door to Rider Market that is going to be
Ducati.
Ducati Orlando.
Gotcha.
It's an exclusive Ducati dealership in Metro Orlando, and we're in the final days of our build out, and we'll be open and ready to serve customers here. Actually, our grand opening is going to be December 6th, so it's been a really fun process, and I know the team down there in Orlando is super excited, and I think there is a big opportunity in that market for Ducati. So it's just another part of our growth plan, and
Yeah.
Ducati's been great. They're a very profitable brand. They drive great service traffic, so they're good for fixed ops. Their apparel business is strong. They've been really an exciting brand to work with.
Hmm. So, do you ride?
Oh yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. I
Like, of
write a little
course
bit
I
of
do.
I write a little bit of everything. Lately I feel bad. I've been so busy. I don't get to ride nearly as much as I probably should be. But I've been running around running these dealerships and
Yeah.
trying to build teams and maintain culture and do all the things we're talking about on this podcast. But I could definitely use. I should get out on two wheels very soon and kind of
Yeah.
relieve some of that pressure for sure.
Well, luckily for you, you've got year-round weather for riding, so
Yeah,
you'll have
yeah,
plenty of time.
yeah.
Okay, well, Nate, before we close this podcast, is there anything you'd like to touch on or share with other dealers before we go?
I mean, just hang on, guys. Get out there, and it's really a grind, and it takes maximum effort. So just lean on your teams, talk to your teams, ask them where the opportunities lie, listen to them, and just roll your sleeves up and let's get after 2025. I think it's going to be a fun year. I think some of the changes out there in the landscape. I think there is opportunity, but it doesn't come easy. You got to get up in the morning. You got to come in energized for your teams and put in that extra effort for sure. And that's what I try to do every day for my guys and gals.
I love the enthusiasm. Thanks for sharing your knowledge, Nate, and we'll see you guys next time on Power Hour.
If you like this podcast, please like, share, and subscribe. We also invite you to connect with us on powersportsbusiness.com.